All right, so we had our second New York Mets spring training game, and this one definitely went a lot better than the first one. Not only did the Mets win compared to their loss yesterday, but we had our SNY broadcast, we had our SNY camera angle, so it was a much better experience to watch, to listen to. Everything about it just felt a lot better. There weren't any big base running blunders. The defense was better. They actually scored in this game, courtesy of a big home run from my guy, Jeff McNeil, and a very impressive swing from Albert Almora Jr. Hi, Captain Frank. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We're just getting started. We're going to go till around 4 o'clock, and then we're going to cut it early because I do have some things to do later today. But, hey, Mothman. Hey, Jack. Good for the clubhouse. They need this. Yes, this definitely was a nice win. We got to see some young prospects. The pitching was very good. I really like what I saw from Marcus Stroman on the mound. He definitely did well. That was a bomb by Almora. Yes, it was. Today was a good game. And what I really liked was what McCann was doing behind the plate while Marcus Stroman was pitching. If you're watching closely, McCann was getting low. Like, McCann was basically on the ground, just putting that glove up, putting a really nice target for Marcus Stroman to hit. And I think that Stroman, being a shorter guy, being a sinker ball pitcher, likes to keep the ball down. It's very important that McCann is able to set up that low target for him. He was able to steal some strikes, threw out a base runner trying to steal, even though he was safe. Yeah, exactly, Jack. Even though he was safe on replay, he still threw him out. It was a nice little strike him out, throw him out. So that was good to see. And you could just tell that there is a significant defensive upgrade from James McCann compared to Wilson Ramos. There also was that backhand play that he had on the ball in the dirt. So I definitely like what I saw from McCann behind the dish. If you guys want tickets, now is the time to sell quick. They just won up, guys. That's very true, Mothman. Like, if you want to get Met tickets, do it now, because knowing the Mets, if they start playing well, they jack up those prices. Because I remember in 2019, I went to 2 games. The first game I went to against the Pirates, the Mets weren't doing too good. It was nice and cheap. The next game I went to against the Cubs in September, it was way more expensive. So that's a very good point. That guy, Sam McWilliams, needs to get his control in check. Yeah, I think what happened with Sam McWilliams, that personally, I was extremely excited to see McWilliams pitch, and I think he was probably really excited too. So I think he was overthrowing a little bit at first. So it was a lot of nerves. But as the inning progressed, his control definitely got a lot better, and he was able to throw a scoreless inning. And what I liked about McWilliams was that he put the ball on the outside corner. He went up. He went down. He threw the ball hard, as so it looked. We didn't have the radar gun, but he's really, really tall. What else do we got? McWilliams, yes. McNeil, yeah, I was so happy to see McNeil. The home run Mets looked fire. It was a good game. McWilliams and Blevins look scary today, not in a good way. Yeah, I don't think that Jerry Blevins is going to make this team. I just think that he's kind of like over the hill. You know, Blevins had his moments. I feel like he's done as of right now. But we'll see how the rest of spring training goes. At least he threw a scoreless inning. Hey, Mets fans, how's it going? It's going good. How are you doing, Omar? Relievers look good. Yeah, Drew Smith looked very good in his outing. That definitely was encouraging to see. And even Jordan Yamamoto looked pretty good too. So just in general, the pitching was pretty good. McWilliams looks like a nasty pitcher. I see huge potential in that arm. Someone said he had 97. It looked like he was throwing hard. And that delivery is very intriguing. I mean, he brings the ball by his knee very over the top. And they say he looks 6'7". To me, he looks like 6'10" or something. That guy is massive out there on the mound. But, you know, there definitely was a lot of intriguing things that happened in this game. I mean, that one play up the middle with Lindor, where it looked like he had a nice play, then he kind of had that double clutch, and Alonso ended up dropping it. That was a bit unfortunate, but just in general, I mean, no other big-time errors. That Almora home run was really nice. That was a line drive. Like, off the crack of the bat, you knew it was gone. And even in Almora's first plate appearance, he hit a ball to the warning track. So you feel like Albert Almora, I talked about him, he's extremely motivated to really show that he has got something to prove and that he can make this team. He's going to be battling with some other guys. And I just felt that when you looked at Almora, he had like a very mean face. Like, he looked like very focused and like, I got to prove something. And wham, he hit that home run. I think Almora's bat is going to come back. Hopefully it does, because that's what it comes down to for Almora. We know that he could play a pretty good center field. The concern is his bat. So if his bat is anything close to what it used to be, he could be a really nice player to have on this team as a guy late game defensive replacements every now and then, being your starting center fielder, maybe against the left-hander. Want to give some of your lefties a rest like Nemo or Dom Smith. It's nice seeing Mauricio get some early playing time, but you could tell at 19 years old, he needs at least another 2 years, maybe 3 before he's major league ready. Yeah, I think that's going to happen for everybody. The same goes for Brett Beatty. Same goes for Pico Armstrong. These guys still need a couple of more years. My concern is not cashing in runners. Yeah, so far, they definitely have stranded some runners both today and yesterday. I do hope that improves, because we don't want to see the season begin like the way it did last year, where these guys were leaving people on base. Who do you think will pitch the day I go to the game? I'm headed to the 8th game of the season against the Marlins, so second game of that series of the regular season, Mothman. If that's the case, that would mean to be their number 4 pitcher. So if I had a wild guess, I would say Taijuan Walker. How old am I? I am 24. So, I mean, that is my current age. I believe between Nimmo, Pilar, and Mora Jr., the Mets will be solid in center field. McCann is good behind the plate. Yeah, I mean, Nimmo's going to start the games, give you his offense. Then lane games, you can decide what you want to do. Go Almora, maybe go Pilar. And Mothman, that depends. Will there be injuries? Will there be doubleheaders? Will there be rainouts? So, I mean, you never really know exactly. But if I had a wild guess, like if you think you count 8, that'd probably be like the number 4 pitcher, maybe even number 3 pitcher. So maybe a Carrasco. I don't know, some kind of combination of those guys. Wait till Noah comes back. Yeah, that's going to be big. Almora and McNeil, baby, 2-0 win. Everyone looked good. Blevins needs to work on his control a little bit. Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens with Jerry Blevins. I think it was encouraging that after he took that line drive that he still was able to pitch. You know, I was kind of concerned that it would hit his arm, but it looks like it hit his leg. Hi, Mars Gaming. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you, everybody, for checking in. Prospects need to know how to cash in runners with bases loaded, no outs. Yeah, that definitely wasn't good to see. I mean, it was a bit of a weird bases loaded because you had Steven Souza drop that ball at first for Houston. He's a guy that is a really – and then the third base from Houston, there's that slow grounded to third, and he's kind of just like, hey, I don't want a bare hand. Just let it go by. Thanks, Frank. Love your channel. You're awesome. Thank you, Mothman. I appreciate you watching. Yeah, people straight on base. I want to see more of us. I do too, Colby. I feel like we will as spring training progresses. It is only the second game. We haven't seen Dom Smith yet, so I'm curious to see what he could do. Jerry Blevins, the good on the mound. He has an uphill battle for the pen. Lucchesi and Montgomery are probably ahead of him, as is Thomas Apuki. What's up, guys? Yeah, hey, Ernie. I think something interesting to note is that I looked at MLB.com, and they said that Zapuki's ETA is 2021. And that's the year we're in now. So Zapuki is a guy that definitely has a chance at this bullpen. And he was pretty good yesterday. So he's another guy. I'm curious to see how this goes for spring training. As of right now, I feel like Drew Smith is working really well to get one of those spots. That's just the way I'm feeling right now. But we'll see how these other guys look like. We haven't seen Familio or Betances or Castro or Edwin Diaz yet. So there still is a lot more people that have to play so we can get kind of a gauge of where they are right now. And early in spring training, the pitchers are ahead of the hitters. Like, we could talk about them stranding base runners, but I feel like that's kind of common with the way things are in the very beginning parts of spring training. So hopefully, as it progresses, the offense will get a little better. I mean, that would just be the way I would hope, because we can't be just relying on scoring 2 runs. You're going to need more of that. McWilliams is a big guy. I agree, man. He looked absolutely massive out there, even taller than Noah Syndergaard. He had that long blonde hair, so that definitely was pretty intriguing. And the fact that so many teams were interested in him and the Mets pounced on him, they made sure that we have got to get this guy. And I'm curious to see what he could do, whether it is as a bullpen arm or maybe somebody that could every now and then get some starts. I have a feeling Yamamoto begins the season in AAA. He has one minor league option left. Would be to hold on to more quality arms. I agree too, Webb's Love. I think that is where Yamamoto is going to start the season. Is there a chance Castro doesn't get a spot? No, because he doesn't have minor league options. And some people think that Castro is a diamond in the rough because he does have the very nice slider, and he also has a very hard sinker. Do you watch anime? I do not, Mars Gaming. I mean, I pretty much watch sports, and that's about it. You know, if it's not sports, it's like video games or something else like that. But Castro is a guy that a lot of people feel highly about, and I'm curious to see what he could do in a full season. You know, I'm not the biggest Castro fan because you guys know me. I need to see him do it as a Met. Castro will pass through waivers. No, I mean, as of right now, I don't see that happening. Like, I don't think that some of these other minor league relievers are just going to outplay Castro so much to the point where it's like, okay, we're going to completely get rid of Castro instead of just putting one of these guys in the minor leagues. Because don't forget, like, sometimes where the Mets will have a guy do a long relief outing, you need to put him in the minor leagues for a little bit, and then you have to have someone else called up for a couple of days. Like, they could do something like that. Hey, what's up, man? Miss me? Yes, Shy, welcome. I don't know what time it is by you, but thank you for checking in again. Castro throws hard, but his control isn't good. Yeah, that's what it's going to come down to, and that's the case for a lot of relievers. You always have to worry about how the control is going to do. Stroman looked nasty today. I agree. Stroman did look very good. It was interesting to see that Marcus Stroman every now and then was doing some like different deliveries. He would have a little bit of a pause. He would do a little bit of like a delay, and then he would throw it. So that was pretty interesting. When I think we'll see Joey Lucchesi pitch, I feel like probably tomorrow or the day after that, I imagine. They said DeGrom is going to pitch Saturday, Carrasco and Taijuan Walker sometime after that. So I'm imagining between now and Saturday, I think we'll see Lucchesi, like I said, tomorrow or maybe in a couple of days. And I'm just curious to see how all these different pitchers look. Any news on who's pitching tomorrow? No, I don't think I've seen that yet. If any of you guys have seen that, let me know, but I haven't seen that yet. I mean, and we were under the impression that Yamamoto was going to start today, and then at the last second, Stroman was like, no, let me pitch, let me pitch. So we saw Marcus Stroman. I like that they played the bottom of the seventh so we could see the young guys a little more. I agree, Matt, because Pete Crow Armstrong and Brett Beatty came into the game, and I want to see them get at least a plate appearance, and that did happen, so that was good. DeGrom is pitching on Saturday, West Palm Beach. I know it's so unfortunate that DeGrom's first game is an away game, and we're going to miss it. Scraddick, hi, how's it going? But, I mean, we know that DeGrom is going to pitch well. Like, DeGrom is not someone I'm worried about. I am more curious about these guys like the Yamamoto, like the Lucchesi. What are they looking like? Because I know DeGrom is going to be good. And I think that seeing Jeff McNeil just hit a bomb, especially against a left-hander, that was really nice. I also liked Brandon Nimmo's double against Christian Javier. And the Astros have a lot of very nice young arms. I mean, that's how they got to ALCS Game 7 last year, were these guys that we saw today, like Framber Valdez, like Christian Javier, Jose Urquidy, Josh James, Blake Taylor, who the Mets gave them in the Jake Marisnick trade. I know this isn't Mets related, but Tatis had a grand slam. I mean, listen, Tatis is always worth talking about. He is so good. How many more 7-inning games will these MLB teams play? I want to see 9. They were saying that today might be the last 7-inning game, so I think that we'll see more 9-inning games going forward. Did Astros get booed? Not that I could tell. I mean, I didn't really notice any Astro boos. I did hear a "Let's Go Mets" chant, and that was a really nice welcome change. Like, it was nice to see Met fans there, and just the camera goes to the Met fans every now and then, not the cardboard cutouts. It definitely had much more of a spring training feel, and I'm very excited to, when the games are at Citi Field and fans will be there, and it will just feel a lot more like normal. Because last year, even though we got to see the Mets, it didn't feel right. Oh, what else do we got? Nice that Drew Ferguson was able to catch a ball. Yeah, that's true. I got a feeling the Lindor extension is coming soon. I agree, Colby. I do think that extension is coming soon. Albert Moore looked good. I agree. There wasn't any balls really hit to center field, so we couldn't see his defense. But the thing that I'm more concerned about is his offense. And like I said, he hit a ball to the warning track. And then that home run, I mean, it was a rocket. His swing looked good. Like, it was quick, and it was a line drive. Do you think the Mets will be a World Series 2021 winners? No. I think the furthest the Mets could go is the championship series. I just don't think they would beat the Dodgers in the series. That would be my concern. I mean, I'm just worried about, can we beat the Padres in a wild card game? That's the way I look at it right now. It's great listening to Keith, Gary, and Ron, the greatest announcing team ever. Yeah, it definitely was good to hear the SNY broadcast and hear Keith when he was saying, like, he got the big league scorecard. I was like, oh, new ownership. That was pretty funny. McCann looked like he improved defensively. Yeah, listen, watching James McCann on a day-in, day-out basis is going to be an improvement from watching Wilson Ramos. Way different environment for players with fans. I think so, too. I feel like the fans, for players, it would be a lot more joy for them when they look out and they see fans there. They don't see cardboard cutouts, so I think it'll be nice for them. Your phone is almost dead, so I have to leave. One more question. You saw Albert home run. Yeah, I saw Almoro's home run. I was really excited when that happened, and it was good to see. Who will win AL pennant? I think it's going to be either the Yankees or the White Sox, but I am leaning Yankees right now because other than that, the rest of the American League doesn't really scare me. I feel like nobody in the West, in the Central, I like the White Sox. Tampa, they're not going to be as good as they were last year. So other than that, I feel like it's the Yankees league that, I mean, who else is really going to beat them? I have a feeling Nimmo is going to have a breakout season offensively. I could see that happening. I could see Brandon Nimmo having a really good offensive year. Like I said, that double looked good. So, I mean, we'll see how it goes. He had those couple of hits yesterday as well. So far, Brandon Nimmo is off to a good start in this spring training. And what we're going to be more fascinated by is what is Nimmo's defense going to look like, because Nimmo was the DH today. Who will win World Series? I think it's the Dodgers. Like, their team is just so stacked. But I think that, again, when we talk about lineup construction, they had Nimmo batting in the leadoff spot again. Are you going to go to a Mets game? Probably not, unless I'm vaccinated and things are in like an amazing spot COVID-wise, then I would. But as of right now, I'm not really planning to. But next year, I definitely will be. But we'll see how that ends up going. But I just think that having Lindor bat second again was pretty interesting. McNeil batting fifth was very fascinating. I don't know if that's something they're actually going to do going forward. But then the other guy you really have got to figure in is, where is Dom Smith going to bat? Does he deserve a top 3 spot in this lineup? I'm curious to see how the lineup construction is going to be like. Do you live in New York? Yes, I do, but I don't live in the city. So if I'm going to go, I either have to pay a lot of parking or have to take a train, which I don't really want to do right now. So the trips to Citi Field are not the easiest. I don't think the Dodgers will win the World Series, but that's just me. It is tough to win back-to-back World Series, but when I just look at their team, I'm like, who could beat these guys? I just think that with all the pitching they have, they are very good. What do you think they'll do in a couple years since Vientos and Beatty are both third basemen? Well, I found it fascinating that today Mark Vientos was playing first base. So maybe they're going to try to explore some different options that, like, listen, we have all these third basemen. What are we going to do with these guys? If Vientos could play first base, maybe some other positions, that would give them more options. Am I the only one who'd be okay to see the Mets trade JD for more pitching and have Luis Guillorme play third every day? He has a great glove and solid bat-to-ball skills. Yeah, I mean, Luis Guillorme, he had that really nice the line drive where he just caught it. That was really good. Do you live in Westchester? I do not live in Westchester. I live on Long Island. I would rather McNeil lead off. I mean, yeah, it's kind of interchangeable. Like, I prefer Nimmo only because he's willing to take a few pitches, get the pitcher to, tire out just a little bit to start the game, and then he has that really good on-base percentage. So I think that the way I look at it, McNeil could drive in Nimmo better than Nimmo could drive in McNeil. You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather have the good hitter up when there are runners on base, not when the bases are empty. Because you saw McNeil hit the home run. It'd be nice if Brandon Nimmo was on base to get that extra run out of it. I'm guessing Yankees versus Dodgers at World Series. It would be cool to see. I mean, finally another Yankee and Dodger World Series. And it definitely could happen because, to me, the Dodgers are the favorite in the NL. Yankees are favorite in the AL. The favorites don't always necessarily win. And I'm curious to see, like I said yesterday, what Tyone looks like, what Corey Kluber looks like. But it is a very possible World Series matchup. But I think that some of the other things that I wrote down, we talked about Guillorme, but also just the fact that Lindor, his first plate appearance, again, was a comeback into the pitcher. I didn't love that. I like having Lindor hitting second to break up the lefties. Yeah, that's very true. I mean, it's going to be super important because, like I said yesterday, having J.D. Davis go from batting third to like seventh or eighth is huge because you can have Lindor at the top of the order now. It's very, very important to this team. I just want the best players at the top, and McNeil gets on base. He does, but again, like, it's just that if you have Nimmo, he's going to draw a walk, so he's at first base, but McNeil hits a double, so you're moving more than one base. He will, but Lindor, we all know, don't worry. Hey, I'm not worried, but it's just so unfortunate that Lindor keeps hitting comebackers. At least he drew a walk in the second play appearance, so that was a little better, but I just want to see like Lindor just like crack one. That would be pretty exciting to see. But, I mean, again, you'll definitely take the win. Can you believe that spring training has started both JBJ and Jake Caruso still unsigned? I can because Jackie Bradley's been looking for a crazy contract. Like the fact that Boris is Jackie's contract, he wants 5 years at a crazy amount of money. It's just not going to happen. And for Odorizzi, I mean, he's coming off an injury in 2020, and he's looking for a multi-year deal also. And in this kind of environment, I mean, teams don't want to spend that much money. The teams that want to spend the most are the Padres, the Dodgers, the Mets, and the Blue Jays. And all four of them did plenty of spending. So, I mean, how much more money is really left to give out? Beanie still not strike out so much. I knew a 3-1 count he was going to strike out. Yeah, Pete Alonso on that strikeout later in the game had a very ugly swing at the high fastball, which I did not like. And that's something that he has got to get better at. You know, he did draw a walk yesterday against the Marlins. But the thing for Pete, similar to Conforto, he doesn't need to overdo it. JBJ's free agency scares the hell out of me when it comes to Conforto. Why does that scare you, Michael? Because, I mean, Conforto is going to be in the corner, so I don't think that really should affect things. Like, if they're going to extend – like, if you don't get Springer because you want to keep Conforto, you have to re-sign Michael Conforto. So I think that's something that's going to happen at the end of the season. I mean, maybe it happens in spring training. That would be fortunate because – if the Mets could lock up Conforto now and not let it play into the season, have him have another great year, and then he goes off, and then some other team offers him a lot of money, which makes the Mets forced to outbid, that wouldn't be a good thing at all. So the Mets got to try to get Conforto done now. Because of Boris, yeah, I mean, that's true. Like, Boris is going to try his best to get free agency for Conforto. Of the Mets' top 7 prospects, who do you think makes it to the majors first? I think it'll be Matt Allen. Yeah, I guess it could be Matt Allen. Like, if you include Zapookie in the top 7, I would say he probably makes it first. But these other guys, like we said, Mauricio and Beatty, these guys are still very young. And even Francisco Alvarez, he also is young as well. So Matt Allen definitely has a chance. And I'm very curious to see what he looks like when he gets a chance to pitch. What extension contract the Mets going to offer to Lindor? I imagine it would be somewhere in the Mookie Betts range because that would be a pretty good example. But 8 years would be nice, but if they have to go 10, I'm perfectly okay with that. Zapookie is number 9. I guess it depends on who you ask. Like, some people say that, I don't know, Alvarez is number 1. Some people say Mauricio is number 1, so it could be moved around. When do you think Lindor will get extended? I'm hoping either next week or within the next 2 weeks, because he's already just showing this kind of leadership role, which is really encouraging to see. And another big thing about Michael Conforto to keep in mind is that the players, and even Sandy kind of alludes to this a little bit, the fact that Conforto is looked at as the captain of this team, like, it would make sense to extend your captain and keep your captain. Like, you can't say, oh, this guy's the captain of our team, but we're going to let him walk away in free agency. That doesn't really match philosophy-wise. So, I mean, getting Conforto done is very important for this team also. 11 years, $350 million for Lindor. 11 years is more than I'd like. 7.18 for Conforto, 10.33 for Lindor. Michael, those would be good numbers. Those would be things I'd be intrigued in. Alvarez will probably get called up when McCann's contract runs out. Yeah, I mean, that's what they were thinking timeline-wise, around 3 to 4 years for Alvarez. Conforto gets 9 years, $225 million. 9 years is quite a lot of commitment to a player, but I mean, we'll see if Conforto is worth it, and we'll see how the year plays out. And again, Boris is going to be asking for a lot, so his season is going to be very important for Michael Conforto, no doubt. I hope that me and Michael Conforto can kind of tell Boris, like, listen, I'm in charge of my free agency. I'm willing to take the hometown discount to really stay a Met, but we'll see how much of a say that Boris had. Screw it. Let's get Jose Reyes out of retirement. Let Lindor walk. No, Jonathan, I don't agree with that. If we're going to get another shortstop, it would be one of those other guys like Correa or Seager or Byers or Trevor Story, something like that. Also, not to be negative, the last 100 games, Lindor's OPS at 730. It concerns me. That's fair, Skradek. I mean, he had a bad September in 19, didn't have a great 2020, but I think that just looking at his track record, Lindor will be good. I mean, that's just the way I feel. No such thing of overpaying for Lindor. Money does not matter. Just pay the man. Yeah, I mean, what you gave up, like, you just have to keep him. It's very important. Funny, Olsen didn't mention Stroman as extension candidate. Yesterday, he mentioned Lindor for Syndergaard. I agree, and I feel like that's the way the Mets are going to go about it. Like, this is a massive year for Marcus Stroman because we know that Marcus Stroman feels very highly about himself. And being in a walk year, he wants to show that he could get a really nice contract. So he's going to be trying his best. The Mets are going to get a motivated Stroman, and we'll see how it plays out. If he doesn't pitch well, what's his contract going to look like? If he does pitch well, the Mets will probably have a really good season. So we'll see how it works out. I mean, the thing that stands out to me again was the fact that Sandy Olsen said at some point Steve Cohen runs out of money. So I feel like maybe that could tie into giving Stroman a big deal along with Lindor, Conforto, and Syndergaard. Could we get a better shortstop because 2020 free agency shortstops are going to look nuts? I feel like Lindor is probably the best shortstop in the league. So, I mean, how much better could you get? Is it true that Lindor said in an interview that the extension talks have already begun? The extension talks have not begun yet, but they plan to begin very, very soon. It's because that I believe Stroman will have a Cy Young caliber season. I think that Stroman could have a all-star caliber season. Cy Young, that would be great. I remember Met fans wanted Shane Bieber. That wasn't happening if they were getting him because we would have been with Lindor. Yeah, I agree. I mean, Shane Bieber, like, he would have a crazy asking price. And I'm curious to see, we talk so much about Trevor Bauer in the short 2-month season. I want to see Shane Bieber in a full season against multiple divisions, not just the Central, because Shane Bieber had pretty much the same competition that Bauer and Yu Darvish had. So let's see how good Shane Bieber really is, because I tell you what, in the playoffs against the Yankees, he did not look like a Triple Crown winner. Everything Sports 12, LFGM. Yep, let's go Mets. I mean, let's keep it going. Let's see some more wins. I mean, it's unfortunate that, like, we don't get to see the away games. I really wish we could. Bro, let's go. Missed the stream yesterday. What's good, LGM? It's all good, Andrew. There's a replay of it up on YouTube, so you can check it out once this one is done. But this definitely is a better game than yesterday. Is it unrealistic of me to believe the Mets could pull off a trade for Eugenio Suarez? It depends on if the Reds come down for their asking price, because similar to the Cubs, the Reds have asked for Francisco Alvarez. So, I mean, you're not giving up Francisco Alvarez in any of these third base trades. So we'll see if the Reds are willing to come down on their asking price. Just came in here. Mets should never give Lindor a 10-year contract. We don't need another 38-year-old player on the team. I mean, the thing is that that's how baseball is right now. A lot of people give out 10-year contracts. So it would be something that's kind of commonplace now in baseball. I got my subscription days ago. We need Shane Green. That would be nice. Dom Smith probably plays tomorrow. I imagine, like, how many more days are going to keep Dom Smith out? I know Dom Smith did get to camp a little late, but I imagine he'll be in action pretty soon. If there was one person you wanted the Mets to get, who would it be? Can't be Bauer or Springer. Tough question. Oh, it can't be Bauer Springer if there's one person I want the Mets to get. If there's one person I want to get, and it obviously you'd have to give up a lot, which I'm not crazy about, but it would be Matt Chapman. I feel like he would just transform your defense on the left side of the infield, gives you another big-time power right-handed bat, not on a walk year, so Matt Chapman would be the guy. I'd rather give him an 8-year deal, a higher AAV. I agree, Peter. Like, that's the way I would like to go, too. I mean, years is always so important to me. AAV, since it's not my money, I don't care about. Years are always the more important thing. Like with Springer, the fact that he got the 6-year deal from Toronto, that definitely was a big thing. But, I mean, we'll see what Lindor is willing to agree to because, I mean, if he wants 10, you probably have to give him 10. It's unfortunate, but when you give up Rosario and you give up Jimenez, you definitely got to maintain him. Should Pete Alonso be extended? Let's see him play out this year because he had the great rookie year, had the down year in 2020. Let's see him play out this year before we talk about Alonso extension, especially since you have Dom Smith. I don't mind the length of a contract, but I would the Mets to structure wisely, though. Pay the player a higher AAV for the prime years while paying less at the back end of the contract. That would be the smart way to do it, Webb's Love. I agree with that. 11 years. What happened with the talks about Matt and Brian? Are they not going to get upgraded for third base? Well, I think they assessed what the trade market was like. They saw that the asking prices were really high, and they're going to see how the season goes because if J.D. Davis plays well, which definitely is possible, maybe they don't need to make a trade at third base. But if J.D. Davis is not getting done both offensively and defensively, and the Cubs, Athletics, or Reds, or whoever are willing to come down for their asking prices, then that third base trade could become more realistic. But as of right now, the Mets are just going to roll with what they have. Conforto should get an 8-year, $200 million, or at least a 7-year, $175. Yeah, I mean that's fair. If get these extensions done, which free agent is the most compelling to get next year? That's a good question. I mean, the free agent class isn't as great as it was this year going forward next year. So for me, if again, depending on how JD Davis is, I would like to get one of those shortstops and maybe move them to like third base or something. But that's just me. Nimmo 3-4 start already raking. Who cares about defense? I mean, Nimmo's gonna give you offense, so that's what he's there for. So it's good to see he's got it going. Instead, Mets giving Alvarez, they need to give different prospects and some major league players. Yeah, I agree, but the thing is you have to consider what the other teams want. Like the other teams want Alvarez, so it really comes down to what the other teams are willing to take. We didn't give much worse. Rosario, he will be mediocre and play. Jimenez, we have no idea. So not give up a lot, especially with what he gave in the minors. I mean, we'll see what happens there. But Peter, I do think they're going to try to extend him and that it most likely will get done. Did Dom Smith play yesterday? He didn't play today. No, Dom Smith didn't play yesterday or today. He did get to camp late, so he's going to get a little bit of a later start than some of the other players. I would like to see the Mets go after either Javier Baez or Trevor Story. I mean, I don't think Trevor Story could really move around from shortstop. I know Javi can move around a little more. Javi could play third. Javi could play second. He's played a little teeny tiny bit of center field. I know his offense was down, but, I mean, he gives a lot of excitement. He gives really good defense. He gives you speed, heads-up plays, and sometimes his bat is there. So, I mean, we'll see how things play out. Like, my free agent wish list will depend on how they do this year. Like maybe I'll want a reliever, but of course you can't offer the closer role because only Mariano Edwin Diaz can have it. If Chris Bryant's a free agent, who should he sign? I mean, it depends what teams are looking for a third baseman or interested in him. I mean, we'll see how that plays out. I feel like maybe the Braves might look at Chris Bryant next year, but who knows? Javier Francisco would be exciting. Yeah, they're both good buddies, both being Puerto Rican, so it'd be a nice combination. The reason Lindor did not sign with Cleveland was he won 10 years, $350. He is not worth that. I mean, I think Francisco Lindor is worth that. He's like the best shortstop in baseball. So how could you not give him 10 years, $350? So I'd be willing to offer him that. I think he's that good. He just does so much for this team. I mean, whether it's on the field and off the field, Francisco Lindor does it all. So he's worth it. I don't think Colome belongs on this team. Probably not. I imagine that Colome will start the year in the minor leagues. Colome was not supposed to be on the major league roster in 2020. That was just so more because that the Mets didn't really have any other pitchers they could go to. They just called up Colome. Lindor is worth more than that. I mean, we'll see what happens. I don't think he's worth more than Mookie Betts, though. Who edges out the rotation, Pearson and Lucchesi? In my opinion, I think it's going to be Dave Pearson. Ryan Mauricio is a giant. He definitely looks very big for an infielder, and it's good to see that he's got some muscle on because last time I saw Mauricio, he had that height, obviously, but he was a little slender. But if he could put on some muscle and just put bat on ball, Mauricio has a lot to be excited for. I think they should sign or trade for a reliever. I agree. I mean, bullpen is very important. Tatis is now worth $340 at 22 years old, but he still got it. I mean, some people think that Tatis is the face of baseball right now, so he probably is worth that kind of contract, especially because of the years that they did, how young he is. The AAV is just so reasonable for somebody like Fernando Tatis Jr. if they didn't sign Conforto, who would the Mets get? That's the problem. The outfielder free agent class is not great at all next year. So, I mean, that's something the Mets have got to consider, is that there aren't many good backup options. Like, I mean, could you rely on maybe having Kevin Pillar be a starter, or Almora being a starter, or maybe Khalil Lee could be on the major league level, or maybe Pete Crow Armstrong? Eventually you could do that. But as of right now, the outfield class is not that great after Conforto. So I really would try to keep him, but we know Boris wants to wait till the end. And we'll see what Conforto does in the full 162. He was great in the 60-game season, but let's see if he could give me that above average of 162. I think he can, as long as he keeps what he did last year of just going to the opposite field, not overswinging. As long as Conforto can do that, he could have another big year. Will you be doing a full prediction video on what you believe the Mets players will do in 21? I could do that if that's something you guys want to see. Almora hit a home run. Hopefully they could get him going. I'll tell you what, Almora's going to be trying his best, so I can see it happening. Dodgers could be eliminated because the playoffs was weak last year. Maybe this year stronger teams. The Padres will be stronger. Mets will be stronger, but the Dodgers also got a little stronger too in my eyes. Just because he is the best player now, it does not mean he'll be the best player in the future. Can we see him playing NY first if he can handle the debut with Tatis around 22? Not 35 million Lindor wants. The only problem that I have, Peter, is that let's say that Lindor, like they don't extend him now, has a great year. Then if teams start giving Lindor big offers, then all of a sudden now the Mets have to up Lindor's offer where they could have gotten a more reasonable contract now. That's the way I look at it, is that if the cheapest the Mets could get Lindor is if they re-sign him right now. Boris has done extensions for players, but he generally leads to go to free agency though. Like, I mean, he has done extensions, but his general rule of thumb is try to get to free agency. Okay, it's after 4, so do we have any other questions before we head out here? Because, like I said, I do got some things I have to get done, so I just wanted to hop on really quickly. I hate Boris. Yeah, I mean, I don't think any people who are not Boris clients like Scott Boris. He definitely makes things pretty tough. And just his analogies and things like that are very annoying. Almora now hit a run, but the warning track, yeah, I mentioned that earlier. They said Almora has made a change in his swing to loft the ball more as his ground ball rate has climbed. His swing, it looked nice. Like Almora's swing looked very good. Thank God Boris is Lindor's agent. That's true. Boris is a rat, LOL. Yeah, no, he definitely is not my favorite for sure. All right. Anything else we got before we hop out? Again, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. It definitely was a better game, better telecast and all that. The next live stream, I mean, if I could get a good view of tomorrow's game, then I'll do a stream. If I can't, then probably the next home game. Are you upset about missing out on Bauer, Springer, Realmuto? I mean, at this point, I'm kind of a little over it because nothing we could really do about it now. But I think that with Realmuto, he probably wasn't going to come here. It was going to be a crazy contract. Springer, I didn't like the 6 years because he was going to move to a corner. It'd mess up things for Conforto, Nimmo, and Dom. And then for Trevor Bauer, we'll see how things work out with the Dodgers. A reasonable price for Lindor is 9 years, 310. Will you do it tomorrow? It depends on if we could see the game. Like, I was able to catch the Marlin game yesterday a little bit on a bad camera angle, but if I could actually see the game a little bit, then I will do a live stream tomorrow. If tomorrow's game is on MLB Network, I mean, which sometimes MLB Network is weird. They'll say it's one thing, but then they show something else. If it's on MLB Network, there will be a stream. So I'll keep you guys posted for sure. Then on ESPN, all right, we'll find out, Jack. What's your also say if they sign Springer for probably wouldn't be signed to extension? Yeah, exactly. So that has to be put into the equation as well, because the thing about Springer is that if you lose Conforto, how much do you really make your team better? And if you sign Springer, Dom Smith goes to the bench, how much better does your team really become? I feel like that was always the ultimate question with Springer. Once they got Lindor, he was not as good of a fit because I want him for the lineup balance, and Lindor already brought that to the team. Yeah, exactly. It'll be network blackouts games. Exactly. That's what I'm concerned about. Mets. Okay. Yeah. So, all right, we'll see what happens there. So Springer's throwing Conforto just turned 28. That's nothing to consider. I mean, Springer, we might have seen the best of him already. Meanwhile, we might have not seen the best of Conforto quite yet. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Love talking to you guys. And until the next stream, be safe, be smart, be healthy, and let's go Mets. Thank you, everybody.